Hello and welcome to Amjambo Time, the podcast where we share powerful stories of migration, identity, and resilience. I'm your host, Eloge Willy Kaneza. Today we bring you a touching story from Portland, Maine. The book, Dutiful to Hooyo, by Dr. Abdullahi M. Ahmed. In Somali, Hooyo means mother, and in this moving work, Dr. Ahmed honors the strength, love, and sacrifice of Somali mothers everywhere. On Wednesday, July 24, 2025, Dr. Abdullahi M. Ahmed presented his book, Dutiful to Hooyo, My Mother, at a community event hosted by Gateway Community Services in partnership with I'm Your Neighbor Books. The evening was filled with a heartfelt conversation between the author and the representative Deka Dalak, the first Somali American woman elected mayor in the United States, and now a Maine state representative. In his book, Dr. Ahmed shares how his mother's wisdom and resilience shaped his life as an educator and a community leader. He calls it a letter of gratitude to all Somali mothers and to all women who carry their families with courage and dignity. Representative Deka Dalak described the work as a universal story, one of migration, loss, and rebirth that bridges generations and preserves cultural roots. The audience heard stories of the Somali diaspora, the challenges of immigration, and the importance of holding onto one's heritage while embracing new opportunities.
You are listening to Amjambo Time on 90.9 FM, WMPG, Gorham, Portland, radio from the University of Southern Maine.
I couldn't find a word to translate the term Hooyo in English. In Somali, Hooyo, it really means more than mother. So I couldn't, and in Arabic, those who speak Arabic, like the difference between al-um, which is mother, and walida, which is also mother, but there's two different ways. You have two words in Arabic to put it together. So I couldn't find a word for Hooyo in English. And another thing also I have seen, I live or spend a lot of my time with the young people in the schools, and a lot of Somali students in the schools do not use the term mother. Mm-hmm. They just say like, some of them get into trouble. They say like, don't call my Hooyo. Please don't call my Hooyo. So, or if I say I'll call your father, it's different than when I say I'll call your mother. So mother has a deep meaning. Hooyo has a deep meaning than mother. So that's why I was not, or why I didn't do and didn't use dutiful to my mother. The term dutiful as well, why I selected that term. I was in between being obedient to my mother and dutiful, and I found that dutiful is much more deeper, and it goes like whether that person is there with me or it is not there with me. It is a duty that life and after death is a things that I will be fulfilling. So that's why I chose dutiful to my Hooyo. And also those who have the Islamic background, Sayyidina Isa said, وَبَرًّا بِوَالِدَتِي, means I'm dutiful to my mother. In the Quranic translation in Quran, Jesus, which is Isa in Arabic, said part of his job was وَبَرًّا بِوَالِدَتِي, I am dutiful to my mother. So the term dutiful goes beyond like I'm obedient or I listen to my mother or I'm following my mother's footsteps. It's like I will do this whether she's with me or she's not with me. So what inspired me is that I have seen that so many people or so many mothers from the immigrant community in particular having similar things that I have seen my mother going through. When a mother comes in the school and at times confides in me and said, I work 12 hours. I'm here for this child. I wanted them to do well. All I'm doing, I'm tired. I wouldn't have stayed this cold. I'm here for them only. When they say these words, I do remember, and I would always ask, like, say, was my mother saying the same thing to her friends? My mother used to work in different jobs. One of the job that she did was that she worked, Deka will know and Ruqya will know, it's called Damanyo, means it's like the government construction. I grew up in a socialist kind of government where everyone works for the common good. And so she used to work and they will get the minimum wage. So I do remember my mother getting into a lorry, and the men who are already there in the lorry, they suspend a ladder made out of wood, and then they will extend their hands and they will help the women to go to the lorry. I never thought about how she gets out of that lorry. It was very difficult to get in, but I never thought about it. As a young man, I always thought about when the month ends, she gets paid. What she gets paid is not enough for the entire month, but the first few days we were getting actually treats that, and my kids can tell you, I like baguette and tea, and my mother used to get us that, and also pay the community store, which is close to us, what we owed. And then, but I always, so I was thinking about like how many of my students, my kids, the kids that I see in the community, the kids who are from immigrant communities, and do they know their mothers and their family members who are working? Are they really enjoying the job, or just they're doing this for them? Are they feeling? I never asked my mother if she liked that job, and I see a lot of children who will call their mother and say, like, "Can I order food from DoorDash?" So the same thing I relate to, and I was thinking about, like, if I write this book, it may help bring that out. Also, I owe to share this with, I will out one of my children who doesn't like if I talk about the difficulties I went through, but others, I'll name Safa. Safa is the one who says, like, write about it and let's hear more about it. Mm-hmm. So I thought about also writing this book will serve that I will have, my life that I wouldn't trade again, even if it was my luxurious one, I would not trade it. I will do it the same again. But I wanted to share and say, like, this is the way that the credit to my mother, and may Allah give her, Jannatul Firdaus, but she is the one who made me who I am. So again, there's a lot of also theory, hypothesis that I'm making in here, and assertions that I'm making about child development as well as parenting, and that speculations. I'm looking forward to hear feedback and create that, for the lack of better term, that intellectual discussion that that parents have the character building as well as the educative process of their children. So how I'm making some speculations as well, and that and hypothesis. So that's one of the reasons as well.
Wow, that is really, really amazing, the overview that you just gave us here. But I'm gonna tell you, I'm learning something from my brothers and sisters that I really am close to, and I love baguette and tea, by the way, and I do that every day. It's something that we call in Somali roti shah. Okay, so I'm glad you mentioned about your daughter, and when I was reading the book, skimming, by the way, not the whole thing, I realized how strong the woman around you are, not only for your mother, but also for your mother-in-law. When I was reading that, the way that when you were asking your wife's hand, and your wife and your daughters, talk about a little bit about that, and also the culture around when it comes to family, the context in the family and the culture. And also, you mentioned something about that intellectual conversation that you wanted to start when it comes to, parenting and children. Talk about a little bit about that challenge when you were writing the book. What were you thinking, and how you wanted folks to have that conversation when it comes to intellectually, right? Because we know a lot of our immigrant, and I'm going to pick on our Somali community members, we work extremely hard as a mothers, right? We work very hard, and we sacrifice a lot for our children, right? But how can we really also not only support our family members, so when it comes to mothers, Hooyos, and the dads, but also our children, because we're raising these kids in a country that is different than where we grew up. So how can we really fill that gap, right, when it comes to the kids who are being raised in this Western culture, and yet we're coming from Somalia with our roti and shah, and saying, okay, what was those challenges look like, and talk about that, a little bit of that context in culture.
Yeah, the first piece about women in my life, and you mentioned, and in the book there's a chapter that I talked about called Ayeyo, which means grandmother, and my grandmother was very important in and also in my life, from having like some traditional remedies and making sure that I'm healthy, to taking me to school, and she was the one who took care of us while mom was working. So also there's another chapter, it's called Older Sister, and second mother. So my sister, and how she was also there for us. There are many things that I mentioned about my sister, and also making some connections actually about the story of Prophet Moses or Musa, about in the Quran, it is about how he was saved by his sister when pharaohs were killing every Israeli children, and so the importance of older women or older sisters in the families. So I talked about that, and actually to spoil this story about my sister, when I first came to the U.S., one of the jobs that I got was that I was a security officer at Maine Medical Center. So the parking and the building was not as close as they are now. So there was a little distance. So what was happening was at the second shift, end of second shift, or the third shift, especially when people will tell me to go with them to their cars, and I'm brand new to the country, and I'm saying like, I spoke the language, but I didn't know. So I'm thinking about what they are scared of, and I'm thinking about like there may be like the native animals in here, coyotes or stuff, and really like attempting to have a loose rock or something, and say like I want. So I talked to the security in the shift before it starts. I said to one of them who was like a shift supervisor, I asked her, I said like, people are asking me to walk with them, and I don't have any things. So what should I do? And one of said like, and I was thinking about like, bring your stick or something. And then the guy said, I bet the people who ask you are mainly women. And the first time I picked that, I came to the U.S. With a privilege. People who talk about privilege, because here is this white man from Maine who is talking to me because he feels like I'm another man, talking to me about how women are scared of, and he talks about his sister. And he said, my sister is scared of everything. And I was picking that, and immediately my sister Hidayah comes to my mind. And I would say, like, my sister was not scared of anything. She was really strong. She is the one who kept our family. So I wrote about that in my journal as a reflection that time. As well as I wrote about that in 3 months into the country, and now I belong to a club called the Man Club, and he's telling me about how women are. So I wrote about that privilege, as well as my sister was not scared of anything. So women in my life, as also one of the speculations, and this is already settled. It's not, doesn't need to be discussed, but the education or learning doesn't follow only from the adults to the young people, and that's one of the things that I'm citing in the book, that my youngest daughter telling me to do something and I'm learning from her. So it is also that I don't think that is even if we don't accept it, like our kids sometimes lead us. So that is another thing that I wanted to mention. But yes, when we say, it's very common that people say, like, every great man, there is a great woman behind him. So for me, it was really like, with no doubt, all my life, it was like, yes, and amongst, or the greatest woman in my life was my mother. So that's what shaped even my leadership. And I will be talking. I know Dega didn't read the book, but I'm sure she'll ask me. I know, like, I'm educated. I know someone when they didn't do their homework. I picked up. From when we walked in, I figured out that.
I skipped it, so that's a good thing. So thank you for that overview of talking about women in our culture and how they really shape our leadership in general. For me, my mother is huge, beneficial to me for everything that I have done. She never learned how to read and write in Somali, let alone other languages. So, but she always knew how people can be advanced if they have education. So she always had that mentality. So in Somali culture, we are storytellers, and we talk about our stories. So talk about a little bit about that storytelling that we have as in our blood and in our culture, and how that maybe helped you writing this book. If it has that anything to do with the storytellers that we are as a nomads also.
Yeah, so the term, and again, spoiling the book again, it is the term Geljire, or like
I read something.
Every Somali is a nomad, so it doesn't need a reading, that one. But the Geljire means the person, camel herder, or the person who watches for the camel. So Somalis love camel, and it is when you are in the city, the people who are come from the countryside, it is a little bit, they're not mannered in the city. manners. So sometimes Geljire can be an insult, or like kind of like borderline insult. To say like you're behaving like Geljire, like you do not know about the city life. But also it is it's something to be proud of when we say like I'm Geljire also. At the same time, it serves like both ways. So Somalis are nomads, and our language was written only in a written format, only in early 70s, 72, 73. This at the time that ever Somali language was written. Mm-hmm. Prior to that, it was everything, every field was passed along by in very oral society. So for example, my grandmother, for every occasion, she will have a verse of a poem or a shirab or something, and say like, yeah, we say that, we do that. So it's always like people having this very strong oral society. They will pass the entire books. Someone who knows how to read Arabic will come, and people will go to learn from him. They're not reading and writing. He will pass this orally, and they commit into their head, whether it is in the field of religion or in the field of like traditional medicine or whatever it is. Like, so that person will pass, and we will say, oh, we have someone who is traditional doctor, and then he doesn't read or write, but committed everything and knows the plants, knows the treatments. So that was the tradition. So it is a big thing for Somali communities or members of Somali communities to write. We like to talk, especially like when we're in the diaspora. We sit down and talk rather than writing. So this is a little bit of a departure of that, and a lot of people actually will say like, how did you do this? And how you get the time is another thing that I'm hearing a lot. But it is some with a commitment and with wanting to do it. But this is starting now with a lot of podcasts, a lot of social media. A lot of Somalis in the diaspora are writing and sharing information now more than ever. So this was an attempt to go from keep the oral one, but also to put something in print.
I don't know how you want to do questions. We didn't talk about that. Is after or during or? Well, what do you guys think? Do you want to ask any questions, or you just want to listen, or? Yes, Nasser.
Mashallah, great job, great book. I know him in the community, great father, great friend, brother. He knows me very well, and he will know why I'm asking this question. So, majority of the people loves mom, Mother Earth, mom, this and that. Culture-wise, in our society, male are dominant. So the question is, may Allah bless your father. And the question is, if he was to be alive and you were to write this book, how will he feel?
Yeah, Jazakallah khair. This is a good question, and and again, spoiling the book again if you didn't get the book yet. But I was in very young age. My mother and father were divorced. So I grew up with my mother, and we lived in a town, in a district in Mogadishu called Wardigle. It is considered like it's a lower socioeconomic place. Actually, the part of the city where we lived is called Abasibo. Abusivo is in Italian, Rui knows it, it is like unauthorized residence. So the Italians named it Abusivo, means like they didn't like this group of people, and there is no roads, like you can walk to someone's house and then you can reach the road, and the fences are cactus, and it is really like only the people who live there go there. So very peaceful people, very but from they were even the name of this place where there's a lot of fightings with both the Italians and or against the Italians. So the area is called the Abusivo, unauthorized. So I was born there. So my mother, from a young age, having a baby or having another child in that neighborhood, she really was clear, like she had a plan. So from the get-go, with the names and the nicknames that she gave to me, were very clear that she has a plan. So some of my nicknames that my mother gave it to me at a very young age, she used to call me Diblawe. Diblawe means like this person, this young man will never cause a trouble. So she always, and that was not only a nickname, it was an expectation. It was like a clear thing, like we'll say like, if you will not cause a trouble. So I was clear that I will not cause a trouble. She also nicknamed me as Kulmiya, which means like brings people together. So it was expectation that if, you will bring people together. And I do remember as young as when my mother is taking my, with her hands taking my teeth, like when I'm losing. It wasn't like the tooth fairy will come tonight, we'll put somewhere. It was very clear that I said, like, he's becoming a big man. And now you're losing your teeth, you're becoming a big man. Diblawe is growing up, you will be like the person, and she will tell me, like, you will not hurt anyone with your hands and with your tongue. So it was very clear, and those things are rooted, although my mother was not, she did not study formally the Islamic religion, but it was like very clear that she would say, like, you don't hurt someone, you don't do this. And rather than preventing a trouble, she was putting us as success. So you will bring people together, you will lead, you will be that person. So she had expectations. I learned from that even with the scarcity and with the difficulties, I learned that always do your best in your sphere of influence. So my mother could do that, and she did it the way she could do, and really it paid off. Like in very young age, she used to take me to the mosque. She would need to talk to the adults and tell them, like, can you teach this young man for me, this and that. So having a plan, from naming a child and watching them to grow up, and also continuously having that care. My mother passed away in 2013 in Maine here, and after we reunited, and she came here.
Amjambo, Africa.
When you are an immigrant, one thing that you first need is information. When people are reading the newspaper Amjambo Africa, they can definitely trust that this is coming from the right source.
Do our best to help bridge gaps between.
It's very important that all voices in our community are heard.
Young people can really benefit from Amjambo Africa.
This paper connects us all with things that are relevant to all of us.
This newspaper made people visible because they can see themselves, through one of those languages.
Immigrant voices are not only vital to our future, they are part of our history. Is an opportunity we should embrace.
But Amjambo Africa can just give us a sense of hope when we're reading what's going on back.
As Portland and the state embraces more and more immigration, connecting between not only the immigrant community, but the locals.
J'aime lire Amjambo Africa Est-ce que vous lisez Amjambo Africa?
Amjambo means word. It's in Swahili. DRC Congo, they use as a greeting, hello, or good morning.
I see Amjambo Africa as becoming a real force in the state.
I do remember I was going to grad school or my doctoral work at UMaine in Orono. So one night I was coming late from UMaine in Orono and driving. And when I came, my mother was sitting down and waiting for me. She was waiting for me to check on me because in the morning when she leaving, she was hearing that I was coughing. And she was saying like, I was waiting for you to make sure that you're okay. Did you take this? And that time she was told that she has only a maximum of 6 months to live. So in a very young age and strong age, she sacrificed it. And also here I am, like, she was told that like she would live up to 6 months maximum, but she was thinking about my cold and saying like, so her sacrifice and always being there for me was always there. So the sacrifices and the plan that the way I put it there, she still had a plan for me, and she would tell me like, she said like, take a lemon and honey and do this. So as she has a plan from naming me, even in this adult age, she has a plan. So that's one of the things that inspires me, like, to really bring out the love of the mothers for their children. That time is missed and not expressed, and some of the misunderstandings happen in families, intentions which are not expressed. And so the hope is that a lot of young people will express their love and intentions and acknowledge the hard work and the sacrifices and the teachings and all the work that their mothers are doing for them.
You did not respond to the question. What would the father think?
Oh, my father will be happy with it. I'll tell you. Yeah, he will. He will be very happy with this. And also in the book there is a mention about when the people, and this is another, it's not a speculation, it's coming directly from the Islamic teaching, is that when dad and mom or man and women have a conflict, the kids must not be paying the price. So how the concept in the Quran or the ayah in the Quran is like, imsakum bima'rufin aw tasrihun biihsan, which means like stay together in a peaceful way or separate together in a peaceful way where there is no harm to the community and to the children. So how that also it is, I put it in the book as well about how that principle is practiced in my family.
Thank you, Dr. Ahmed, for that overview again. I'm going to ask you a question about when you were writing the book, have you thought about cultural taboos? I know that you highlighted a lot of the Islamic faith in the book. See, I read something. And how did that really come up with? Because I know that a lot of our community members, we based our lives in this fast-paced culture of running, and sometimes we really forget how to center ourselves when it comes to the Islam faith, when it comes to the cultural norms. How did you balance that? And also, like I said, when you are talking, you learn something. So while you were diblawe, means the one who do not cause trouble, I was diblay, the one who causes trouble all the time. So this is really fascinating to me too. So
yeah, this is again when I said like informed by the Islamic traditions and Somali nomadic culture. it's like really what the way that my mother raised me, which was, and also the environment at that time. I grew up in the peak of, the Cold War, when money or outside of Europe and the West, there was affiliations and orientations of countries with either with the West or the East, USSR, or with the West. So I grew up in that time where really it was, and I was lucky to be in a school where it was very elite school. So when I was growing up, I grew up that from being aware of a lot of world politics and a lot of world issues. So in a very young age, I knew about what is going on in the U.S. And not only from Muhammad Ali fighting in Zaire in Congo, but also knew about the disparity in wages between men and women in the U.S. In a very young age, and how segregated is the communities, and all those things. We were aware of this. So with that, growing up in that, I was lucky to be a very traditional Somali. So if I tell anyone, I know some of my nieces here know, but when I was growing up, I was actually profiled, or I was in track to be in the military. I know, Zara, you cannot imagine me being a general in the Somalia, say a nice general, yeah. So I was slated actually to be trained in the military. So we were in a country where we were all about we are the best, and our enemies are the worst. So that's the way. It was kind of a black and white, whether you are with this calm or you're not. And a lot of things were happening at that time. So I grew up in that tradition of learning. There is a lot of things that I had to unlearn, and there's a lot of things which are true, and about balancing and having this world view of really very from the Oriental traditions to Arabic language to living in India subcontinent and coming to the U.S. It was very enriching. Yet there was that piece where also my character was formed by my mother's experience. So yes, and also my character was formed by also my mother's expectations. So environmental and the world situations was influencing my life, the way I live, as well as also my mother's support and help. Yeah.
Well, the time is pushing to 7 p.m., so I have one last question for you, although you really cover a lot of the things. But then we will open to questions from the audience so that you can ask any questions that you have. So my last question is that what are you hoping for the young people in our state or outside this state or even national level or international to take away from this book?
I won't say life will be very challenging, and what doesn't, I will use this loosely, what doesn't kill you will make you strong. So there are times that you will be in the crossroads. There are times that you do not know, you're thinking about the past, you're thinking about the present, you're thinking about the future at the same time, and it will happen. If hopefully it will not happen to all of us or all of you, or never happens. But if it happens, how to really balance that and have the hope that this will make you stronger, and having the faith that yes, it's challenging now, but we will continue and we will overcome. So, and it is in the book, there are days that I'm running away from my country and do not know where I am and what I'm doing, and do not know what I will be doing in the future. So it is in that place where I will say, like, I'm grieving leaving my family and my home country, where I do not know where I'm heading, and where I'm not safe where I am. So it is the past, the present, and the future at the same time, and juggling that, but having a faith and always doing the right things, just to do the right things. And I mentioned in the book that similar to Prophet Moses in the Islamic, in the Quran, there's a time that he was kicked out by the Pharaoh, and he didn't know where he's going. But one thing he was doing is like do the right thing. So if he sees someone who needs help, he will help. If he sees someone who is struggling, he will stand up for them. And in the same time, it is the time that he needs most help. But he was in the Quran, he was very strong man, who people will look up to him and say, would you help me? And then he will stand up to help, rather than saying like, I am poor, I am suffering, I am. So I put that piece where I always say like, do the right thing, even at the time of very challenging, when it is like the most difficult time if you are going through, just think about how to do the right thing, and that helps, and will give you an end to, and nothing is permanent, but it will make you stronger. So that's my message. Difficulties can happen. Inna ma'al usri yusra. With the difficult comes ease. So just do your sphere of influence.
Thank you, Dr. Ahmed. Please give a big applause. So we're gonna open for you guys to ask any questions that you may have heard, may have. So it's all yours.
I've enjoyed reading it. Thank you very much, and I hope you'll come to my classroom, do a book talk. And I'm a reader, not a writer, and I appreciate the contribution you're making with this book for our community, but I'm curious how the process of writing the book changed you. It's a wonderful contribution, but I'm wondering if also you got something out of it.
Yeah, I'm actually things that, and again, the feedback is very important. I don't want to say like about. I don't believe in this imposter thing issue, but I think like a lot of people have this natural tendencies of not exposing things and sharing things. It is very hard to just put yourself out there, but I think it is a beginning of something, and I write the times. I write for. But exposing things and saying like, just read, it has a perceived risk that what the people will think about it, and especially my colleagues are here, and they'll be like, next time you say like, oh yeah, he's the one, So, but I think it has that as much as it will be like you'll be famous, also it will be like exposing yourself. Yeah, both. Yeah. George.
George, then Pius, then Zainab.
You know, this, I want to just, if you can talk about a little bit about the conflict of the generation between you who were born in Somalia, I was born in Congo, and now we have kids who are born here, and how hard it is to, you know, kind of navigate the new environment, knowing that you have your values that you don't want to give up to anybody or to any, you won't compromise. But yet your kids are here, their own, you know, thinking and perceptions of how life should be, and how do you reconcile the two? Is it clear?
Yeah.
Conflict of generation. If your kids were born here and you were born there, how did you make it so that there's a little bit of reconciliation of both cultures and values?
Yeah, it's very challenging for both young people and for parents, having different ways of growing, and it is very challenging. But one thing which is also for parents to understand is at times there are child development and human development understanding in the and again it's another speculation that I'm making, that you can be in the wilderness of Somalia and you will see 10 years old young man who is watching like 70 camels and by himself, and just being responsible. And here, living 12 years old in the house will be like, don't touch the stove, don't do this, don't do this, don't open the door. You know, a lot of don'ts. So it is, don't hurt yourself, don't, you know, also like, you know, don't microwave more than a minute. There's a lot of things. So how developmentally and expectations. And so the first thing is that what I mentioned about really being that candid and sharing that, you know, bringing this world together, saying like, you know, this is a way of life and this is a way of life, and bringing this. And, you know, I said this more than once, but being influenced by the Somali tradition, where Somalis, you know, quickly we say like, take the best wherever you find. So where you find something good, you have to take it. You know, even if it is not yours, like if it is not your culture, it's not. If you see something good, it's yours. It is part of the human civilization. But do not take the bad stuff. So if you come to here and you there is a lot of new things that you have seen and they're really good, just take it, and you bring your good things as well, but do not take everything as a whole kind of sale. And for young people to be really very careful that and be cognizant, because we often, you know, beat with a lot of information with the parents and say, you need to understand the children, but the children are responsible as well to understand their parents' perspectives. Now, a lot of children, the way when they don't understand their parents' attitude, I know some of them will say like, "Oh, my mother is a fob. She doesn't get it. My mother doesn't. She's very traditional Somali. She's you know." Rather than doing that, you need really to understand exactly what your mother is telling you, and identity is very important. To be who you are is really very important. So. Otherwise, if you don't have these pillars, this is who you are, you will fall for everything. And at the end, you are not for anything. So having that strong, you know, like identity where you can say like, yes, I am this person, I am from this ethnic community, I am from this group, but also I'm contributing to the community. So you are addition and adding to the community. It's not like you're a burden to the community. But identity is very important. Al-Haji.
This is your second book, even though the other one is about community of life or about an idea of parent or family or community engagement. What is the different process? How did you feel writing the first one? And what's the process of writing the second one? I'm not the one that's writing the book, but when you were talking about your relationship with your mother, suddenly I started thinking about my relationship with my grandmother who raised me. So how was it for you on both when you were writing the first one and then when you were writing the second one? What's the difference between the process?
The first one, it was like much more like research-based thing, like so it was more using a framework, doing some research, so it was very much like academic piece of it, and this one is much more like reflections and really like thinking about deeply within. That was much more external, like doing research and analyzing surveys and doing, qualitative, quantitative research kind of. But this one is much more deep and engaging and putting myself out there. So that was one of the biggest thing. Like this was like much more time than like thinking about the research and doing some research-based book.
Thank you. I have one question that is much related to gender, because you wrote about your mother, your Hooyo, and most of the time I will use some facts, even here in the room. If I'm not mistaken, I don't see any Somali man here. Except for you. Oh, two. Okay, thank you so much.
Bilal is here also.
Bilal is really feel good.
Honorary. Yeah. I'm sorry, I will continue my question, but let's say the representation is very low in the room. And I have a feeling, I've been here for about 8 years now, and I have been seeing Somali women, very brave, courageous, doing more than a lot of work. I'm a teacher, and I've taught Somali women, and they go to school, they work long hours. I'm not trying to say Somali men are lazy, but I'm trying to say, it's my perception, and you will give me your take. I would say that maybe culture has influenced a lot of what men maybe can do, or how they can integrate to a community, Western world, in a different way than women. That's my feeling. And I have neighbors who are Somali women and men, but to me, a woman was working long hours, longer than men. To me, if you're staying home for maybe a whole day and your wife is out working for 12 hours, to me, it's that she's working more than you. And I don't know, I'm yet to read your book, but I would love to see you maybe helping some Somali men understand that maybe they're not doing enough to help the women, because Somali women, to me, they are doing much more than Somali men. What do you think about that? It's my
feeling. I think this is a good question or assertion, I could say, and I'm not saying like this with what this Somali women do is really phenomenal, and with the civil war, a lot of people who are, again, this is not an excuse or anything, but the people who are resettled, Somalis who resettled in Maine, or most of the people who were resettled as refugees, are resettled and selected because of when you're in a refugee camp in somewhere, the most needy, the most unfortunate, the most. So initially, the people who were resettled here were a lot of women with widows or women with their own children, no one with them. So a lot of mothers, and there wasn't father figures in their family. A lot of people came with that. So credit to Somali mothers who raised like 5 kids, 6 kids by themselves, and some of them brought their husbands after that, or but I don't want to generalize this, but that was one of the things that's happening. Another thing that, and again, at this time I don't want to make a generalization, but even in schools, in universities, and you will see not only Somalis but a lot of the immigrant communities. The young women are working harder or performing better than black men in general, and who are from immigrant communities. And that when we are within this Somali community, there are hypotheses and ideas, like where you will say like, this is the reason, this is the from like saying like mothers spoil the boys when they are young, and that's why or the girls are asked, the girls do a lot of work at home and they know the work ethic, or there's a lot of speculations. I don't want to from my position or where I am sitting now, I don't want to make an assertion, but I want to say like yes, they're Somali mothers, and that's why they do phenomenal job, and that's amazing work that and kudos to them. They're raising kids. Yeah.
George?
I just want to piggyback to what you said. Is it cultural? Because I know from my own culture, back in the village, women did more than men. Do you think it's related?
I don't think it is a cultural thing. And
what I want to say, I remember I wrote my own book, and I emphasize on the fact that my mother suffered the whole pain of raising the whole family than my dad. He wasn't bad men at all, but culturally, the women were trained more than men. They worked, they raised the kids, they went to the farming and came back and they did this and this, and it was like a whole load of work was on them than men. And I'm thinking if that's where it still reminds of men, that women have to do a lot than men.
I think it is back home, and it's very nomadic traditional life in Somalia. The work is different, but both of it is very hard for a man and women. It's really very hard. So, but the work is different.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, but in the diaspora, things are very, not even-sided. Yeah.
Something. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I was talking before, so let the
okay.
Let Lucas go ahead.
Go ahead, Bukhais.
I wanted to ask you about one of the reasons the book is very interesting is because it occurs in different settings in Somalia and Ethiopia and America and also Pakistan. And like you said, although these places were very unfamiliar to you, I was wondering if you could reflect or tell us a little bit about what's in the book about going to these unfamiliar places and how you were welcomed there, and maybe also how that felt that going to these new unfamiliar places. Maybe you could talk about a particular setting or all.
Yeah. Okay. So that's a good question, and I'm glad that this question is asked. I come from East Africa, and it is the product of the colonial powers. This is again another speculation or another fact that I'll make, that the colonial powers left Africa with these fires, like every neighbor is fighting the other neighbor. And this part of the country, this part is speaking language and the other part is speaking another language. So there was really like they left. They created a mess, and as the Europeans left, or I will in the book I say like they never left. That's what I said. Whether it is the street name is in Mogadishu are still named after Italian names, or whether it is influence in the politics and whatever is going on, and it's becoming a battleground for interests that even we don't understand at times. So what happened was that because of the affiliations with the West and the East and the colonial powers makings, Somalia left, Europeans left Somalia with their neighbors in a lot of contention. So Somalis were fighting with Kenyans, they were fighting with Ethiopians over the territorial disputes. So when I was growing up, we grew up that the only enemy that Somalis had were Ethiopians. So every time that we'll go to school, we'll talk about how Ethiopia was bad, how they took our land, how they sided with the colonial. So it was more about like, and the ironic thing was like, and I said in the book that so when the civil war happened in Somalia, and both Ethiopia and Somalia were on the throat of each other. Somalia wants to destroy Ethiopia and create rebels. So the rebels of Ethiopia are in Somalia, and the rebels of Somalia are in Ethiopia. So they are both of them that they're really undermining the two governments, and it happened. Both the regimes fell at the same time. So Mengistu Haile Mariam lost his grip on Ethiopia because of Somalia and Sudan were supporting Mila Zenawi and his group, and Ethiopia was supporting Somali opposition to overthrow Siad Barre. So both of them were on each other. So now I am living in Somalia, and the very place that I grew up, and going to Ethiopia where we were told like this is your enemy. So in the book I wrote down like leaving Mogadishu and going to traditional enemy land. So again, it's another time I'm reflecting on, and Ethiopia has a history of like amongst Somalis also, and when we look at the Islamic perspective, it has another history. So we say like, when Prophet Muhammad was kicked, or his companions were kicked out of Arabia, they went to Ethiopia and Najashi welcomed them. So we'll say like, oh, they were just people that you could go to. But also is that piece where we'll say like, these people sided with the colonial Italians and the English, so we don't like them. So it has like whom you will see. Will you see Mililik and the one who want to destroy the Somalis, or you will see the one who and Somalis being Muslims, Somali population are Muslims. So will be like this, how to, whom you will see. So I went there, and for the first time in my life, I have seen Ethiopia. I didn't know Aisha was my sister before I came here, but we found that we were sister and brother. So the first time I saw, I would say like, whoa, these people look like me. They're really like Somalis and Ethiopians are the closest, and Eritreans are the people who look like each other. And then more than that, I had to go to other Somalis who are there and ask, and they say like, let's go to the mosque. And here I am saying like, whoa, there's a mosque here, and because we were told that like they're on, they hate you because of you are Muslims, they don't like you. So all those things. So I went to a mosque. Here I'm praying with Ethiopians. They're talking in Arabic khutbah, like a lecture, and it was fascinating to see that. And then when I was in Ethiopia, people became closer. Even the Orthodox Christians who were our neighbors, they became very close. So So it was like Somalis who were there who would say like, why Siad Barre, Somali general who was the president, say like, why he was fighting with these people? They're really like miskin means in Arabic, like they're nice. Why he was fighting? The same thing the Ethiopians were saying to us, saying like, we used to say these things about you, and you are nice. So it was an eye-opening for us, and it is like immediate things to learn, like that. Wow, this is like different than the perceptions that we had about each other, but in the same time, there wasn't also with the people are not the same. So there are also people who will be like, when they see you're a stranger or you're new to this, people who take advantage of people, like, But also what I found in Ethiopia was that the very reason that I was running, we were trying to go out of the country, they were also wanted to go out of the country. So we became like allies, like saying like how you get into the airplane, how you get into this. So that was another thing. Like everyone wants to leave because of the same reasons that we were leaving. They were leaving as well. So that's another thing that happened as well.
How about Pakistan?
And then I ended up in Pakistan, and one thing that I'll share only this story. But one time in Pakistan, I was in Karachi, and I wanted to go to Islamabad. It's like really very far away from each other. And then I didn't have money. I wanted to get into train, but the train, there is compartment for the animals. And people, transport their animals in the train and some compartments. And I went to the window where I can buy a ticket, and I've seen the number 13, and it's 13 rupees, which is the money, the currency. And I said, I will buy this one. And the guy thought that I have an animal, I have a cow or something, and then he bought it to me. So then here's like everyone is loading, and I have this ticket, and they direct me to the and here I am. I'm like with like 15 cows, but I really made it. I made it to Islam. So that's one of the things that. So since you asked about Pakistan, and then.
Wow.
Then you have to watch yourself and the cows.
How long was that?
Oh, it was about 9 hours. So yeah,
you gotta write a book about that.
What is that?
Human being allowed to go with the animals?
No, but they when I said like I'm here, they just say like go. That's the ticket I had,
The train was full.
Because everyone else was about $50 or more for the people actually to go to the other compartments. But I didn't know. I thought like this was the cheapest, and it was. Yeah.
Wow.
Asha.
So for me, subhanallah, my name is Aisha, you both know, such a humble and grateful moment for me to see my dear sister and brother in this difficult time. Like every time I turn on my TV or my social media, I'm like, Ya Allah, Ya God, are we going backward, not forward? So to see this book presenting to a woman, a mother, a wife, way beyond. But at the same time, Ethiopia, Somali, all of us are immigrants who came in here for a few minutes or moments, I would say. So it gave me lots of hope to see it is written by dear brother and dedicated to Safa. There is Safa. So subhanallah. So it is such like a circle of success, seeing my sister going way beyond. And Maine is such a beautiful state, but what we hear, what is going on, definitely I agree what my brother said, take the good and then move forward. So it gave me lots of hope, lots of gratefulness, but at the same time I'm like, wow, I can write a book too. And I'm a reader too, but it's just like so deep. We're like the immigrant family, like, oh, do I really want to show this for the public? What kind of, you're opening a can of worms and inviting to the family, especially in this difficult time. So kudos, and there is, as you say, there is more opportunity for you and for all of us. Being united, I think, going forward, just keep doing what we're doing. And the book itself is as beautiful as the color, as the story is so rich. I think it's, for me, it's just like, I just focus on the positive side of the story. Thank you.
Exactly. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
I think Nathan. Nathan, did you have your hand up? I'm sorry.
No.
Oh, bias then.
Yeah, I just wanted to add to what my sister here is saying. I think the issue of mothers or our sisters and our mothers are getting more involved. I'm not a Somalian, so I'm not speaking for Somalians. I'm from Ghana. Across here in the diaspora, it's across the board, right? I have done family engagement around education, not basically here, but also I've done it in different places. It's mostly 80% mothers who show up. It's not because the men don't want to show up because they are lazy. Probably mothers have that conversation. If the father comes once, twice, and it's all mothers, he's not going to come back again. What you can do is you can engage them. You can meet them where they are. You can reach out to Dr. Ahmed or someone at masjid, and then that is where you can get all the men, and then you can talk to them about the education that you want to. By getting them to come out like this, sometimes it's a little bit different, and that difficulty back home is similar. I still talk to people and say that when we raise our kids, we make it more tough for the sisters, for the females. They have to cook, they have to do this, and then we allow the boys to go and play soccer. That goes on. So our sisters and our mothers, including you, I'm sure you are tough. Yeah, so just to add to the conversation, because you have started a conversation that maybe we need to look into as a community.
Okay.
Yes, George.
So the final one, I'm not going to talk about. So you just talked about the fact that the Somali language, it's a very new language. It started in the 70s.
Yeah.
So that means a lot to do. And my curiosity is how many Somalis writers are out there, and how would you challenge them to write more? Because more writings that, that I can make the same culture that it's oral, transferring story to story by just like talking rather than writing. Are you now seeing, like, are you catching up? How far are you in terms of really getting there and putting the stories out there that probably won't fade away with one generation just passing? So, and I'm talking because I'm also a writer. I wrote my book for 3 and 8 years. So probably your book is shorter than mine, but it takes a lot of work, but at the same time it's very needed. It has to be done. What would you challenge people to do?
Yeah, and the work and the work of writing, especially and I will generalize this, people from Africa and post-colonial Africa, writing is not only writing new things, but it is also negating or talking about or criticizing or saying no to what is being written about post-colonial Africa. So it's not only like easy writing about like this is who we are, because there are Somalis. There is a sister who's in Canada. Her name is Safia. She's from Somalia, and she started a movement called Addan Studies, and Addan Studies means how not only you didn't write your story, but your story was written for you. So that piece, and even there's a concept that feasibility through conformity. Like even the writers who write, now we can self-publish and do something, but the writers who write about Africa and about the traditions in Africa, where I don't want to say censored, but they don't get feasibility unless they, like you co-author an article about Somalia with a German, and he will be the lead person. And you will be like so then you'll be with that conformity, you will have some feasibility, and you will be a scholar now, and so that conformity is there. A lot of writers actually, it's not only they write, but what they're writing about. So we need to write, and we need to write the right story, and we need to write our stories. That's what I want to say. Like as the Black community in general, wherever they are, we need to write our stories and say like, this is who we are, and this is this is our stories, without being seeking exposure and conformity. So I don't know if I'm making sense, but it's writing and writing the right things.
After the talk, Dr. Ahmed signed copies of his book and exchanged personal stories with attendees, many of whom shared their own journeys of migration and resilience. The event was made possible by Gateway Community Services, which supports refugees and immigrants in Maine, and by I'm Your Neighbor Books, a project that uses literature to build understanding across cultures. Beyond honoring his mother, Dutiful to Hooyo invites all of us to reflect on our own histories and the powerful role of mothers in shaping our lives. That was today's story on Amjambo Time, a reminder that when we share our stories, we build bridges. I'm Eloge Willy Kaneza, and I want to thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, share it with a friend, and join us next time for more voices from around the world. Until then, keep the stories alive.
Extreme poverty, yet you have the diamonds in your land. All the wealth in the hands of some groups. Oh, mama land, wipe the tears of your children. Oh, mama land, give the chance your young boys and girls. Stop the lies, oh, stop the violence, oh. We want an Africa for every African. Yeah, we Africa, Africa.